That about sums it up. It about sums it up. Hi, I'm Ariel. You're watching She Wants the Diction, and I recently got an influx of new subscribers, yay, due to doing the BookTube newbie tag, and hopefully you guys actually like what you see and you stick around. But if you don't, also no hard feelings, because it's the fucking internet, and I'm not for everyone. I'll just say that, but I hope you do. So today I am going to be wrapping up my Blackathon read since almost the end of the month. So the first thing I want to talk about, and this is what's been on my mind the most, because I just watched all the spoken word poems. Like, there were 4 of them that we were supposed to like watch and then pick a favorite to like talk about or whatever. I will say I liked all of them. Like, I found an aspect to like about all of them. But honestly, the first one, I don't know. The videography was really well done, but I feel like it was a little like corny, and also like I'm not that much of a romantic. I don't like the overly romantic, we're soulmates, we'll be together for, like, I don't know. I just wasn't really feeling that. And then the second one, What I've Learned, I liked that one. There were a couple lines that I really liked, especially when she talks about books can make you disappear, and there was some line about money and mangoes, how she only wants money so that she can buy mangoes and all this stuff. I really related to that because I'm like, I don't care about money. I only care about money in as much as I need it to survive and eat and live. I just related to that. And then the third one, I feel like, that was uncomfortable. It was too sad. Like, I don't know. It's really uncomfortable to watch, like, 2 grown women, like, crying on a stage. I don't know. Like, I'm aware it's, like, a performance, but I'm just like, ugh, I really don't like this. And it was just too sad and long, and I hated it. And then the last one, 'Cause He's Black by Javon Johnson. I really liked this one, especially because he starts out kind of like with a funny tone and everyone's laughing and like thinking that it's going to be a lighthearted, fun poem. And then he starts going into how basically his nephew's innocence as like a black boy has already been lost because he's already like worried about like police and encounters with them and what he would do. Like, the tone completely shifts and he starts getting like, well, angry basically that he's helpless. Like, he can't do anything to like prevent the loss of his nephew's kind of like childhood or innocence or whatever you want to call it. Like, it's too late. And I just related to that a lot, especially having like a younger brother. Yeah, I just really liked that one because it was like such a like whiplash, like a mood whiplash, where he just like switched it up so powerfully and like really got into the performance. So probably that fourth one was definitely my favorite. And then I don't really have a lot of books to talk about because I kind of slowed down in my reading, but I did finish I'm Somebody Important. Basically interviews with black teenagers in rural Georgia. I don't remember the time frame, maybe like 60s, something like that, 60s, 70s. They were interviewed by a white man, so this doesn't really meet any qualifications for Blackathon. I just thought it would be interesting. And he also has like a whole intro where he explains that obviously the fact of him being a white man and doing these interviews is gonna probably bias their responses just naturally because they might not want to be as open with him as they would be. So, like, he acknowledges it's biased, and he said he did his best to, like, preserve everything that they said, the way that they said it, like, he didn't change anything. So, I don't know how much you want to believe that. But, I mean, I believe it, because I think all their personalities came through really clearly, and he didn't censor anything, like, even if they were wrong about things that they thought, or, like, they weren't completely informed, or they had, like, really passionate views, like, there was people that wanted to be, like, activists in here, and then there was also girls that had gotten pregnant and dropped out of school. So it pretty much ran the span of personalities or paths in life. So that was really interesting to see. And another thing a lot of them said was if they had their ideal life, they would want to be someone important or someone famous. A lot of them mentioned this, and I thought this was great. Like, they wish there was someone black, like, in charge of things, like, in a high position. And a lot of them even said, yeah, I wish we had a black president, things like that. And I was like, holy shit. We actually did have a black president, like, all those fucking years later. Like, just imagine, like, how fucking long it took. Like, I don't know, it's just crazy, like, reading about that. It was such, like, a fantasy thing to them that they thought would pretty much never happen, and, I mean, like, it really did. So that's just, I don't know, that kind of blew my mind a little bit. I really liked this, like, interview combined with photo kind of style, photojournalism. There we go, there's a word. And probably I should maybe show some of the pictures. Another overlying theme was education. Basically, their schools were about to be integrated or whatever, and a lot of them were either for or against the integration, and it was really interesting to hear like all their opinions on that. And some of them even had the choice to go to the white school, and they would either choose to stay or go to the white school and like be one of the first people to try it out. So it was interesting to hear from like those kids, and there was all different perspectives. So I just loved it. If you can find it, although it might be kind of hard, I would definitely recommend checking it out. Maybe if someone hasn't like scanned any of this to the internet, maybe that should be a thing. I mean, I'd honestly do it, but I don't even have a scanner, so... But, like, someone should do that. Maybe I should do that. Anyways, moving on. There's only one other thing that I read, and that was Beloved by Toni Morrison. Probably her most famous work that she's ever done. Now, one of the things I was surprised about, I didn't even realize this book had magical realism in it. Like, no one told me. Magical realism is great. I love it. It's like taking kind of like fantastical elements and then dropping them into like a story and seeing what would realistically happen if a couple fantastical things happened. And I don't know, I just love that. If you want me to boil down the story into something really short, Seethe is basically an escaped slave. So it's all about her trying to like reconcile her new life with, you know, the fact that she's an escaped slave, and one of her dead daughters comes back to life, not really comes back to life, but is resurrected. I don't know if you want to call it a zombie, I don't know if you want to call it a ghost, a haunting, or whatever you want to fucking call it, comes back and joins the family, and it causes a lot of problems. I think Toni Morrison has a gift for giving every single character a backstory and explaining the reasons why they are the way they are. If you don't like trying to puzzle together what's happening and you prefer it to be really straightforward, you probably won't like it. I appreciate her style. Like, I like trying to like dig, and I'm like, oh, is this maybe happening? Is this happening? Like trying to narrow down what's going on and figure it out. But her style does get really hard to wade through. It can get tiring, I guess. And towards the end, I was like, really just like, okay, we need to wrap this up. So I could see how people maybe wouldn't like her style. The whole message kind of boils down to, we shouldn't forget slavery, and we shouldn't forget the things that happened in the past and how deeply they affected our ancestors. That's what I got out of it. My tea's gonna get cold. Even the educated colored, the long school people, the doctors, the teachers, the paper writers, and businessmen had a hard row to hoe. In addition to having to use their heads to get ahead, they had the weight of the whole race sitting there. You needed two heads for that. White people believed that whatever the manners, under every dark skin was a jungle. Swift, unnavigable waters, swinging, screaming baboons, sleeping snakes, red gums ready for their sweet white blood. In a way, he thought they were right. The more colored people spent their strength trying to convince them how gentle they were, how clever and loving, how human, the more they used themselves up to persuade whites of something Negroes believed could not be questioned, the deeper and more tangled the jungle grew inside. But it wasn't the jungle blacks brought with them to this place from the other livable place. It was the jungle white folks planted in them. And it grew, it spread. In, through, and after life, it spread until it invaded the whites who had made it, touched them every one, changed and altered them, made them bloody, silly, worse than even they wanted to be, so scared were they of the jungle they had made. The screaming baboon lived under their own white skin. The red gums were their own. Meantime, the secret spread of this new kind of white folks jungle was hidden, silent, except once in a while when you could hear it mumbling in places like 124. So 124 is C's address, so basically her house. That about sums it up. It about sums it up. I don't know. That somehow encapsulates it for me. I was waiting on that Shuri comic to come in from my library that I put on hold like a literal month ago at the beginning of this month, and it's still not in. So I don't think I'm gonna be able to fulfill that challenge. Sadly, that's the only one I will not meet. So that's kind of upsetting. I did all the other ones. Yeah, so that's my Blackathon reads. I had a lot of fun doing the readathon. I think next year I'll try to read more new books. These were kind of all books that I already owned, which I'm pretty proud of myself for. Read like 10 books, so killed it. Happy Black History Month. Boop, 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 boop. Night caffeine's kicking in. Savage, savage, savage heat.